Yes, indeed. You'd collect that in a heartbeat because they found it in Tellus's garage, and guess what? That video of the individual that both parties seem to agree is responsible for the murder of Jeff Gehrman was wearing that insanely large hat, the old vest, and those Nike shoes. Let's bring in to our discussion national trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Big Case Mike is with us, and this case. We sat through the testimony last week of Robert Tellus telling his narrative style rendition of what he claims happened, and basically he's claiming the whole world's against him, and somehow they've all organized to bring down Robert Tellus. What are you expecting here as we get ready for closing arguments to begin?
You know, let me address that by saying, his attorney did something remarkable. A mystery has been solved for me, right? They began their defense on a Monday. The Friday before they began their defense, he was interviewed outside of the court, and he did something that I found to be remarkable. He created a wedge between him and his client before his case began. He distanced himself from his client before his case began, his case in chief, right? And so now that mystery has been solved for me. Now I know why, because he knew he had a taste of his customer. He knew what his customer was going to do. He was going to do what we saw Robert Tellus do last week, right? So now the mystery has been solved, because I told myself, you know, Draskowicz is a great lawyer. He's a really good lawyer. No lawyer would distance themselves on camera from their client before the case began, right? Unless there's some sort of a gross ethical violation and there's a pending motion to withdraw from the case, which did not happen here, right? Now I know why he knew what Tellus was going to do. All the evidence points towards Tellus, right? There's only two universes here, Ted. There's a universe where Tellus did this, and there's a universe where he didn't do it. We live, in my opinion, we live in the universe where he did it. The evidence is overwhelming. There's no evidence that even controverts the opinion of the state and the allegations. So again, that mystery has been solved, but we're watching just a Greek tragedy unfolding in front of us. I said this before. Robert Tellus is a man who had it all. 3 children, all healthy. He's healthy, family healthy, lawyer, elected public official in one of the most lucrative positions you can have as a civil lawyer, right? The public administrator in Las Vegas. I mean, it's a big, big position. And then, hey, when he lost his bid for re-election, oh darn, now I've got to go out into the public sector and make millions of dollars. There were firms lining up to hire Tellus, right? They would have paid him 7 figures. They would have billed him out at $1,500 an hour if he would have just joined these law firms, because he had direct insight into how dilapidated properties were sold in that city, right? So that is the most lucrative position you could be. If you're a law firm, you're pining to hire this guy. But what did he do? He didn't take these offers. He did not leave well enough alone and go out into the public sector and make millions of dollars and enjoy his kids and enjoy his life. He was a young man. No, he premeditatedly murdered a reporter. The bar was so low for him to have everything. It was so low. All he had to do was not premeditatedly murder a reporter. That's all he had to do. Any number of people watching this broadcast, if that's all they have to do to become filthy rich, healthy, happy children, healthy children, if that's all they have to do is to not premeditatedly murder a reporter, then they'll tell you it's too good to be true. His situation was too good to be true, but he was determined to destroy it. So in my opinion, the evidence and the case we saw in his testimony, and now I know why his attorney put a wedge between him and his client. Now, you know, that mystery has been solved. He knew exactly what he was dealing with. You know, I think this thing is a fait accompli. We're going to have the closing arguments, and then there's a jury of 14 people, 7 men, 7 women. 2 of them are alternates, right? They're going to come back quick, Ted. I think we're looking at a 2-hour deliberation. Once the closing arguments are done. Obviously, they're not ready yet.
Absolutely, yes. One of the biggest things that Tellus wants the jury to get consumed with, on some level, he doesn't want them to focus on the hat necessarily or those Nike shoes, but he wants them to focus on the pants, because he doesn't own pants like that guy. Is that surveillance video of the guy with the hat? And he's claiming, oh, it's not, it couldn't be me, it doesn't look like me at all. Well, the state called a guy by the name of Zach Schilling to the stand, who saw the video, saw the gate, saw everything, and first thing he thought was Robert Tellus. Take a listen.
When you see those images first released of the suspect walking around, does that catch your attention?
Yes,
Why?
It does. With the way that, I mean, just in the photos itself, and the likeliness of the photos and of Mr. Tellis were really, really close.
Is it just photos, or is there a video that you're seeing this person walk? In the videos released by the police, did you see the videos too?
Yes.
So you see this suspect walking. What are you thinking at that point?
That was on a Friday.
Okay.
And I'm like, boy, that really, it's like, boy, that really looks like somebody I know.
Okay, and who's the person you're thinking of?
I was thinking of Mr. Tellis.
Okay, was there anything else aside from the walk that caught your attention? When you looked at the videos of that person.
The gait and you know, Mr. Tellis would always wear a certain kind of Nike that was very unique to me.
Okay, so
maybe I'm a little bit fashionista, but like the Nikes that you would find like at Marshalls or Ross, where they replaced the leather with like a plastic almost, and the hard plastic. It just, they're cheap Nikes you always wore.
A little jab. Yeah, he had those cheap Nikes from Ross. And tell us his expression of what? And he was doing that throughout the trial while people were testifying. That never works with a jury overreacting to things that are being, testified to under oath.
His courtroom demeanor did not do him any favors. Listen, as far as that witness goes, I will go to my grave with the same opinion. I don't think that should have been admitted. I know I'm wrong. I know the law allows it to be admitted. He called Crime Stoppers. I know that I'm wrong in my opinion on this. I want to preface it. With that being said, I will go to my graves thinking that witness should not have been allowed to testify in the way he testified. He was allowed to testify. That's why they brought in the Crime Stoppers call. But I think that they allowed him to go too far. It turned into gossip. It looked like that damn Tellis, by the way. Now, there was enough overwhelming evidence to damn Tellis, even if it wasn't for that witness. But I just felt like, man, what if it wasn't Tellis? I know it's Tellis. I know we're still allegedly saying it's Tellis. I'm fully convinced. I've looked at the case like everybody else. I'm fully convinced Tellis killed Gurman, right? But what if it wasn't him, right? And you have a witness testifying and saying it looked like Tellis. How are you going to unhear that as a jury? At that point, he was convinced. Let's just say he didn't have the DNA evidence under the fingernails of Gurman. Let's just say they did not find the straw hat. Let's just say none of that existed. But that witness was allowed to testify in that way. Tellis would be convicted. And let's just say there was none of the forensic evidence. Tellis would have been convicted. That's how damning that testimony was. It was very damning. Again, I know I'm wrong. I know that he should have been allowed to testify. If I was a judge on that case, I probably would have even allowed that testimony, knowing that it's going too far. I was hoping that I would have gotten an objection by the defense counsel. I probably would have sustained some of the objections. But the comment with the Nike and the plastic, and you'd wear cheap Nikes, that was not necessary. I don't think that should have been allowed in. But it was so damning. Yeah, but Draskevich, to his credit, dissected this witness well on cross-examination. He painted him out to be an opportunist who's trying to make money on the deaths of people in their estate sale. So he did kind of paint him to be, kind of a little bit of a fraudulent witness. But man, was that damning evidence. That testimony was just a dagger for Tellis.
Yeah, and you could argue that the state didn't need to put him on and didn't need to take the risk that. All right. So what are you hearing there, Michael, as we get ready for the closings?
I think that's a person who has buyer's remorse. I'm furrowing my brow. I can't understand. I have to be in his head, but I have to assume that this is a person who has buyer's remorse. He put a wedge between him and his client before his case began. And he knew that Matt Johnson was going to ask him the question. He knew everybody's asking the same question. How much of the drivel from the narrative are you going to use? You got to deal with it, right? You're the attorney. You took on the case knowing, we now know that you knew that he was going to testify with a narrative. You knew that that was his condition. Your client's condition was they have to do that. You knew that. And so you knew that Matt Johnson was going to ask you the question. When he asked you the question, you winced. It's almost like asking a kid, hey, did you, steal the cookie? And the kid has chocolate chips on their lips and they're eating and they said, no, I didn't steal a cookie. It's like you knew that you were going to be asked that question. Why did you grimace? Why did you wince? I'm so puzzled by Draskovic, and especially the breadth of experience and vigor that he has. I don't know. I'm kind of shocked. I'm not shocked with what Tellus did, because I've already given you my analogy of this. It's a Greek tragedy unfolding in front of us, the man who had it all and was determined to destroy it. But I'm not puzzled by Tellus, but I'm puzzled by Draskovic. And also he mentioned he wants to bring in a couple of exhibits he can't bring in new evidence in the closing arguments. Maybe he's going to reference other exhibits that were admitted, but that the prosecution did not have an answer for. Well, I'm really, really interested to see this closing argument. I really want to see this closing argument, because you know what? You made your bed. You got to sleep in it, Draskovic. You took on this representation, dude. Go ahead, see it through. You've got a job. You've got a duty to not only your client, but to the rest of us. You've got a duty to the rest of us. Every single person, deserves a vigorous defense. You've done a good job for your client. You allowed him to testify. No, you had no choice but to do it. He was going to do it anyways. Better than him just representing himself pro se. But I really got to see this closing argument. But man, you knew Matt Johnson was going to ask you that question. So I was just puzzled, Ted.
All right. Well, that was a live look inside the courtroom as the judge continues to read those instructions. We'll get a break when we